Okay. Everybody, hello. This is the Marologic channel. I've got a special guest today. I have a gentleman named Isa. This is an American-born black man, African-born in the United States. Isa decided years ago that he was going to move to Africa to work and teach there. So I know that there is a trend right now where a lot of American blacks are thinking of moving to Canada, or moving to Africa, going to Africa. And because of the climate right now with the police, a lot of brothers and sisters want to go back home to Africa. I've talked to Brother Isa, and we've talked about how a lot of us romanticize about Africa. So I'm going to be asking Brother Isa some questions about what we need to know before we go over there. Brother Isa, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to join us.
Thank you for having me. It's very important that this message gets out. I too was one of those people that was so frustrated with the United States that I started to look at options of living other places on the planet, particularly Africa and the Middle East struck my interest. But I wound up maintaining a position of teaching English as a second language in the West African nation of Côte d'Ivoire, commonly known as the Ivory Coast. That's where I had my experience with living in Africa. The experience of living in Africa is different than just visiting as a tourist.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask you something, Brother Isa. If you can go back in your mind to that very first trip to the continent, your very first time going to Africa, would you please share with the brothers and sisters what it felt like inside emotionally when your foot landed on the continent? Because I've heard a lot of people say that there's an epiphany when you first step on that holy land. So could you expound on that a little bit, brother?
All right. Well, my first trip to the African continent, I guess maybe about 1997, 1998, I had the honor of setting my foot down in Senegal and Gambia. That's a very interesting story because at the time I was an undergraduate student at Tennessee State University, and I was anticipating studying at a study abroad program. But that fell through. But I had done all my homework, my legwork of going and getting my passport, traveling to Chicago to get my passport, raising some funds to be able to go to get the ticket, and things of that nature. But the peculiar thing was when I left the United States, I left out of New York. I took a flight on the now defunct Air Afrique. Beautiful airline.
Wow.
And I left with only, I think, maybe $97.
Wow.
I remember speaking with my mother, and my mother saying, well, you can get back on the plane and come back home, or you can keep going. So, of course, I kept going.
Wow.
I remember setting foot down on the tarmac of Jof Airport in Dakar, Senegal. Dakar, beautiful, vibrant city. Not very far from Gorée Island. I spent my first 2 or 3 days in Gorée with the Bay Falls. It was a beautiful experience. And then I came back up the road to Dakar and caught a bus from Dakar to Banjul, the Gambia. That first night, I didn't cross the River Gambia into Banjul, but I stayed in a town called Barra. You know, sometimes when you travel by yourself, I remember, you know, I had my box with me, listening to some Tupac. Then the sun came down, and I fell asleep, and I woke up to the African music, woke up to the Mblaq's music. Very hypnotic, very tranquil.
Wow.
And, you know, sometimes, you know, they figured out that I was American, you know, so a native son had come home. Gambia is very receptive to African Americans.
Wow.
It's definitely where Alex Haley and the film Roots was filmed.
Yes.
But when I stepped foot onto that sand, going up the hill, I remember I had the first meal that I had was some goat barbecue. They call it braisé over there, and the onion.
Wow. Braisé.
Yeah. Gabri is what is the French word for it. So there they were speaking English, French, Malinke, some Jola, and Wolof. So, you know, because it was an Anglophone country, I got along pretty good. My French definitely wasn't that good at the time. But what I took from that trip was I got my humanity back. You know, I really became a human being, a bona fide human being.
For the first time, my brother?
For the first time, being able to accept myself for who I was, how I looked, everything. So, you know, for that I'll always be indebted to the people of the Senegambia region.
They treated you well.
Oh, Gambia I love Gambia.
Wow.
You know, I wish Gambia all the best.
So would that be someplace that an American brother or sister might want to maybe go to first on their first trip?
I definitely am always an advocate of Gambia for those reasons. It's an Anglophone environment, so
Anglophone environment. Explain that to the people.
English speaking. The West African continent is broken down into French speaking and English speaking. You know, most of it is French speaking.
Okay.
But Ghana and the Gambia are the Anglophone, the major Anglophone English speaking hubs there. So to get your feet wet, it's kind of good to go somewhere where you can really speak the language.
That's right.
Because when you can speak the language, you're able to get your goods and services a little bit better.
Interesting. So let me ask you, Brother Issa, I'm sitting here amazed at your story. What was the climate like as far as the weather? That might be, you know, an odd question to ask, but I know that the climate must be different over there. And would you explain to the brothers and sisters what to expect as far as the difference between the American climate and the climate over there in, say, Gambia?
Okay. Well, I'm a Georgia man, down south, so, you know, I'm used to the heat, the hot Atlanta.
Right.
But hot Atlanta and hot Banjul or hot Abidjan is different types of heat. Very different types of heat.
What's the difference?
Gambia and Abidjan, they're on the water.
Okay.
So the humidity is much different.
Okay.
You know, you asked me about this is the second time that I arrived in Africa. I left around 2014, and I flew into Houphouët-Boigny, Honorable Houphouët-Boigny International Airport in Abidjan, which is named after the first president of Abidjan.
Interesting.
And it felt like they threw a bucket of hot water on me.
Is that hot, huh?
Yeah, it was about midnight.
Whoa.
And I'm telling you, still probably about 85, 86 degrees.
Yeah.
Humidity steaming.
Whoa.
So, to be honest with you, it takes you at least a year to get used to that heat.
Is that right? Make that adjustment.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, here we got a couple periods, and the morning time it'll be cool, and the evening time it'll be cool. But by 7:30, 8 o'clock in West Africa, I mean, it's hot.
It's on.
It's hot.
Okay. So let me ask you, Brother Issa. I had been talking to, and I saw some videos from some of my African brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa. And actually, it was a YouTube channel that was one of my favorites called Tunachiki. And I heard them speaking of the mortality rate and the poor health of pregnant women on certain parts of the continent, saying that when a woman is pregnant, there's chances that she could lose her baby simply because of poor medical medicine and not getting proper care. Could you speak on that a little bit, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And women dying in childbirth.
That's a serious problem. It's a very serious problem.
Okay.
West Africa is developing. It's an emerging economy. Mm-hmm. They're coming out of the period that I might liken to maybe the 70s, early 70s in the United States.
Wow.
The thing about hospital care, if you don't have the money, you don't get the service.
Wow.
So it's a definitely pay as you receive services type of economy over there.
So there's no universal health care of any type, or?
Well, I can say for Gambia, I saw guys that would cut their finger and they would go to the health clinic and they would get service. The service is relatively inexpensive, but you still have to buy the medicine and the bandages and things of that nature.
Okay.
The traditional medicine scene is very, very robust, and it works.
Okay.
A lot of times I displaced my knee. I popped my knee out of joint, and I went to a traditional healer, and he popped it back in using shea butter and water that was being purified by the sun, along with the Islamic prayers. I found it very effective.
Wow.
But as far as health care for women, it's just like all over the world. The care of women and girls is becoming a priority for these emerging countries, because the statement of the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world is definitely true.
Yes, sir.
We have a long way to go in terms of there being parity from the West and in Africa in terms of prenatal care, prenatal vitamins, all of those things.
Yes.
In some cases, when you're talking about the village life, those things can be hard to access and are, expensive to access based on their per capita income, how much they make per day. So
wow,
they lean a lot on traditional medicine.
Okay.
But in the cities, you have hospitals, clinics run by different organizations, the Catholic Church, Methodist Church, the Mormon Church, and all sorts of organizations, World Health Organizations, UNICEF, Save the Children, Mercy Ships. A lot of non-government organizations are over there.
Okay.
And quiet as it's kept, the Scandinavian countries are high donors to West African medical facilities.
I've always heard that.
And you wouldn't think so, but the Japanese are also very philanthropic to African hospitals, especially in the Côte d'Ivoire in the Ivory Coast.
Interesting. So, Brother Issa, I know you've been back in the States for, just a short while, but I'm sure that you are looking at some of the American news since you've been here. I know you are aware of the police climate towards American blacks. I don't like the word African American, but I say blacks, Africans that are born in the United States. So, with the police killing and the threat that the American black man is under here, did you feel that threat when you were on the continent, as opposed to the fear that African American men and women have here of the police?
Quiet as it's kept, I didn't.
Okay.
I want to give a big shout out to Trentium, the 31st precinct in Abidjan. Beautiful brothers and sisters in the African police force. They get a bad rap as to being, extorters. They'll take your money from you and things like that. And those incidents do occur. But for the most part, I had nothing but love for the police. Nothing but love for the police.
So you didn't feel that threat, or you didn't hear of practices such as black man being killed by police racking on their neck there?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
But I will tell you a story.
Okay.
I landed in Côte d'Ivoire roughly December of 2014. And there was it's an area that's very impoverished. It's called gobelet. Gobelet, like goblet. It's a cup.
Okay.
It's an indenture into the earth that when it rains, a lot of people are swept away.
Interesting. Wow.
But for the safety of the people, the military and government, they came in and closed down Gobelet. It was very difficult for me. I think it was maybe within the first week that I had arrived in Abidjan that they tore Gobelet down. I had become very familiar with the people. I love the people in Gobelet. I love Gobelet. People ask me, where's my village? And I tend to tell them I'm from Gobelet. Gobelet is a melting pot of different ethnic groups from different countries. You have people from Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, Ghana, Nigeria. See, Abidjan is a West African hub that a lot of people from all over West and Central Africa, they try to get to Abidjan to get a better life.
So that's the place to be.
Yeah, Abidjan is hot.
Okay.
The other 8. Nevertheless, when they began to tear down Gobelet, you saw the soldiers the night before. The soldiers were in the barrio. They were interacting with the people, eating, singing, dancing, catching up with old friends. But sunrise, they had to force them out of their place, their place to live.
That must have been hard.
Yeah, it was hard to see people carrying their whole life on their head.
Whoa.
Literally. On their head. Toilets on their head.
Oh, man.
Their whole homes on top of their head. So that was a very enlightening experience in Africa. You can't blame it all on the government, can't blame it on the people. I would say that is one of the prices of progress.
I see.
And development.
And that makes a lot of sense. At the price of progress. So I've got so many questions to ask. We might have to do two parts on this, but let me ask you while I've got you here, because I know your time is very valuable, sir. When you got to the continent, for brothers and sisters who are going to be going there, planning their trip there to stay for a certain amount of time, what was the transportation situation like? Well, I mean, here in the United States, we got cabs, we got buses, we got, trains. What was your experience, sir?
Well, that's a good question. In Abidjan, they have shared taxis.
Okay. What is that?
That's a yellow taxi. It's a shared taxi. Everybody pays based on how far you're going.
I see. Multiple people can ride. Okay.
100 francs, 250. It's very cheap. Very cheap. But it's crowded. Sometimes the cars are not, that well kept. Or and then you have the red taxis. Those are private taxis. Those maybe cost 1000 francs, 1500, 2000. And it'll take you a long way all over the city.
Wow.
That's a quick, maybe $4 or $5.
Okay.
Nowadays they got Uber, they got Lyft.
Wow.
And the local form of transportation is called the baka.
The baka. The
baka are these little vans that carry a lot of people and a lot of people's goods. They have a conductor called an apprenti. He takes the money. To ride on a baka, you have to be kind of daring.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's an adventure.
It's an adventure, but I suggest that you try it at least once.
I see.
Try it at least once.
Okay. Wow. That's you're making me homesick for home. Just seeing the passion in your eyes and hearing the passion in your voice. I can tell that's your home.
Yeah, I love it.
That's your home. So, as far as the medicine there, and I don't want to digress. Excuse me. I don't want to digress and go back. But for someone here in America who might have a predisposed health condition, maybe a heart condition or sickle cell or whatever the case may be, what can they look forward to as far as medicine? I know you spoke on traditional medicine as opposed to village medicine.
Well, for people that have pre-existing health conditions, it's best that you have you get a thorough checkup before you go. You stock up on your medicines.
To take with you?
When you get there, see a doctor.
I see.
See a doctor and make sure that you're able to access your medication or something that is the equivalent of your medication. The good thing about it, Cote d'Ivoire, for example, is the medicine was fairly inexpensive.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's a French socialized system of medicine.
Okay.
Where something, say, inhaler for someone who's asthmatic.
Okay.
It might cost you $100 here.
Yes, sir.
It probably costs you $5 there.
Okay.
You have different tier levels of hospitals.
Okay.
You have some hospitals that are, sponsored by the Catholic Church and so forth that are state of the art.
Okay.
Some of the Lebanese hospitals are state of the art. And then you have some African hospitals that are state of the art. Particularly, I've had experience of going to the hospital there in Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay.
And it was my sister-in-law. She had to go to the hospital.
Okay.
Was able to pay for everything and get everything done. And I was impressed with the level of service that they had over there. So you can get adequate medical service over there, but the main thing is for you to get yourself checked out.
Get checked out before you go. So I'm gonna ask you one last question. I can see we will, if with your permission.
Definitely.
I know you have a very, very busy schedule, sir. I would like to get you back to do part 2. I know this is
Anytime.
vital. Thank you, sir, because this is vital information that I see a lot of videos that people are putting out on Africa, but I don't see a lot of information that, for instance, you're giving on how to prepare yourself for the trip over there. So this one last question I want to ask you, Issa, is, and we all know that this economy and this American system is collapsing, and that eventually, it's going down. That it's disintegrating. I mean, just the postal service, and now because of COVID, they're going to have to redo our system of the Equifax and TransUnion of how they grade people's credit score. Because people have lost their jobs, it doesn't mean that they're, non-payers. It just means, COVID came in. So do you feel, sir, that there is going to be a trend, a surge of repatriation, where you're going to see in the future a lot of American blacks deciding, this is it, I've had it with this American system, I want to go home?
That definitely will be so. It was Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, that said, Africa for Africans at home and abroad.
Yes, sir.
And if you look at the early copies of the Final Call newspaper,
yes,
it had Africans, the so-called Negro in America, the
yes,
so-called Negro
the so-called
in America,
Negro, yes, sir,
reaching across the continent to his brother and sister on the continent of Africa.
yes, sir,
I always like to start with good news first.
yes.
In the past year, the new West African currency, the ECHO, has been ratified, and it will come into play probably in the next year.
Okay.
So the major players in this ECHO are, of course, Nigeria,
Yes,
Senegal,
yes.
and the third of the giants of Africa, Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire will have an election in October,
Coming up.
just coming up. And if the election is peaceful, it will set everything online to get rid of the French CFA, which is backed by France.
Yes, sir.
So whenever they get any money, any piece of that CFA, it goes to France before it's in African hands.
So if things go right, that will be eliminated.
Yes, and the people have pushed for that for a long time.
Wow.
And if that is successful, it is really going to be beautiful. That, with the ECOWAS, with the community of West African states, economic community of West African states, it's pretty much borderless.
I see.
Pretty much borderless. People can travel from different country to different country without a visa,
Fantastic.
without a passport. Nigeria was the last to allow people from other countries just to come in without a visa. They did this maybe about 4 or 5 months ago. But the ECHO is going to change the game.
Okay.
and from my perspective, as an African American, you always want to keep that U.S. dollar, that liquidity with that U.S. dollar. So don't close your American bank accounts. Don't do that.
Very important. I have not heard one person on any video. See, this is why you are so valued, Brother Issa. I don't mean to cut you off, but the knowledge that you are sharing with the brothers and sisters here in America is valuable, because I haven't heard anyone give that advice, and that is very, very important. Keep your bank account open in the United States when you go to the continent.
Yeah, because quiet as it's kept, the first thing that impressed me about Cote d'Ivoire was I saw that they were already ahead of the game in the cryptocurrencies. Already ahead
Bitcoin.
in Bitcoin. It's a reality. It's a reality in Cote d'Ivoire.
Yes.
So don't divest your American or your Western portfolios.
Yes.
Because those are the streams of income that are going to keep you at the standard of living that you want to be on the continent.
Yes, sir.
You know, America it has its negative points, which we're all aware of, but it has its positive aspects as well.
Yes. Particularly economically.
Economically, seriously, you want to establish some sort of trade,
Yes, sir.
import-export between where you are and where you're from.
Yes.
You know, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know,
Very good.
some of us get very radical about our perception of the United States and, you know, what we have gone through as a people here in the United States. But
Yes.
our ancestors built this country.
We built this country.
So we're not going to just leave it for them to use it to exploit the rest of the world.
That's right. We built this infrastructure. Every time you see a lighthouse, a slave built it and ran it.
Yeah. And that's just the way that it is. Every time you go turn on your light bulb, it wouldn't be as effective if a black man, Lewis Latimer, had not developed the filament for
Lewis
it.
Latimer, that's right.
You guys are familiar with the whole notion of Afrocentricity that
Yes.
was espoused by Dr. Malefia Santi, Dr. Malana Karanga, and Dr. Carter G. Woodson.
That's
All
right.
all these people. Let's not let their work be in vain by just getting upset that, you know,
I'm tired of America.
I'm tired of America. I was tired of it too.
But
you
this
know?
is ours.
Yeah, I'm right back here, and I'm not going to renounce my United States citizenship.
Yes.
Or anything. I know some people that do it. I know some people, you know, they feel that they're justified in doing it.
But you wouldn't suggest it.
I wouldn't suggest it because, you know, when it comes down to crossing these borders,
Yes, sir.
you have to have something that is backed by something.
That's right.
You know, because other than that, they don't want you to be undesirable in their country.
That's true.
You know, and
That is very true.
And as soon as you get there, Gambia will give you a passport.
Wow.
Ghana will give you a passport.
Okay.
You marry an Ivorian lady, Cote d'Ivoire will give you a passport. She has to be Ivorian. She can't be from Burkina or Mali, but they'll give you a passport.
Wow.
So don't be limited by what our experience, our negative experience has been here. We know what the negative experience is.
And that is very interesting that you should say that, brother, because it almost seems like that there is a setup to want us to become so disgusted with our baby because we built this country, this is our baby, that as you said a moment ago, I find that to be a perfect way of explaining it. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So again, this is vital information that I'm just not hearing from other individuals on a lot of other channels, even though their information is wonderful. This is what the American black needs to hear right now, particularly those that are thinking that, of going over to our homeland, going over to the continent. So, may we have you back?
Yes, anytime. But I just want to give you one more
Please.
One more idea.
Please do.
The diamonds, the gold, the cacao, the shea butter, all of the natural resources that, you know, I got friends over there, man, who showed me pictures of diamonds, you know, trying to sell these diamonds. Only thing is that they're not certified. And the first thing that I deal with someone here is, how do I know if it's real? I say, well, you know, once you start talking about the process of certification, you're gonna make the price of it go up.
Interesting.
You know, so a lot of business in Africa is on that gentleman's agreement.
Ah.
You got to know who you're dealing with. You
That's
got to know
right.
who you are
That's right, sir.
first, because all of these resources that it's cliche that Africa is full of gold and all of these things. It's real though. It's real.
Cobalt mine.
Cobalt mines. I'm talking mango trees. The mangoes in Cote d'Ivoire are superior to the mangoes in Mexico and the mangoes from India.
Wow.
So if you can establish import export to different areas such as the Middle East.
Yes, sir.
You have direct flights from Abidjan to Cairo, Egypt,
Yes, sir.
and so forth. So with that, I'll just say one more thing is that Africa doesn't need squatters. Africa doesn't need squatters. Africa doesn't need any more beach bums. Or anything like that. I'm not suggesting that the people that go or the people that are
have something to bring with you to Africa.
Exactly.
Offer Mother Africa something of quality.
Your plan.
Do
your planning. Yeah, it's good to go and get that therapy that you need. That's good. That's excellent.
Find your humanity.
Excellent. That's an excellent thing to do. But when you get there, I guarantee you, your heart will be pricked, and you will say, "What